I wrote Simple Soulful Sacred because I wanted, number one, I really wanted to go on the journey of exploring what did I think some of the key things were that we're dealing with today as modern women. So that's how I came up with the themes and the 10 parts in the book. And what I really wanted to do was explore modern womanhood. And womanhood has never been a word that has really been in my vocabulary. But for the last couple of years, it's been this unfolding into what womanhood is. And I really wanted to explore that. And I really wanted to create a book that would be a comfort and a guide for women. We're all so busy. And so many women I see in my coaching practice and when I'm speaking around the world are just so stressed and don't have that time and space to really think about what is it that I want for my life? What is my purposeful path and how do I get on that? How do I stay on that? And how do I live with meaning, with intentionality, with conscious awareness and with confidence and step into that woman that I really want to become. So that's the reason why I wrote Simple Soulful Sacred. It was really interesting because this book took on a life of its own. I say that she had a very specific purpose that she was coming in for, or my muse did. This book was 2 different books before it became Simple Soulful Sacred. And my beautiful publisher just kept staying the course with me as I kept pivoting. And it finally came in. I was sitting up in Byron Bay, my second home, and I still wasn't quite feeling it. This is about 18 months ago. I still wasn't quite feeling the book. And I sat down with my blank art journal and I thought to myself, how do you want this book to feel? And how do you want women to feel about themselves when they're reading this book? And I remember so clearly writing down on the right-hand side of the page, Simple, Soulful, Sacred. And I was kind of struck and I just knew that that was the complete essence of the book, and it really changed the direction that I was going in. The format stayed the same. It was always going to be a short chapter book because, again, I wanted women to be able to pick it up off the bedside table before they go to sleep and read a chapter and get what they needed and get that comfort, inspiration, activation. But the depth of the content really shifted once those 3 words came in for me. And then, after that, it was a beautiful 12-month process. Mostly beautiful. It's not always beautiful when you're writing a book, especially a book of this size, because she's a big book. She's 84,000 words, but I wrote 160,000 words. So I had to literally cut the book in half, and really bring out the core essence and the core magic. So I didn't want the process to end. And she has led me to the next book, which I'll start in a few months. This book is for any woman or anyone who identifies with the concepts that I'm talking about. So that can be women, of course, as my core audience, but also just anybody who needs the inspiration, encouragement, empowerment, anybody who really wants to unpack themes around simplicity, like what would it mean to simplify my life? What would it mean if I could truly get on purpose? And how would I go about doing that? What does radiant well-being look like? What does it feel like? What are the practices and tools that will help me get further along that path? And, everything else that I write about, it's for anybody who needs that support in their lives right now. They will get benefit from reading this book. So inside the book, you will find 10 parts, 10 themes that we explore. And then inside those 10 parts, there's 20 chapters for each. So we explore themes of simplicity. How do we get more simplicity in our lives? And how do we bring more clarity into our life? Who are we? What do we want? What do we want our life to look and feel like? It's part 1. Part 2 is around livelihood. So we're exploring themes of purpose, of our career, whether that's working for someone else or whether that's an entrepreneurial journey. We're looking at how do you play to your edge? How do you get past the fear that keeps you in your very safe, small comfort zone? And how do you start to play to your edges? So yeah, it's one of my favorite parts. We then look at well-being. And as you know, my community knows, I'm so passionate about well-being that I did my yoga teacher training. I did a master's degree in wellness because I wanted to get deep into the art and the science of how do we actually thrive? What does that look like? So in here, we're looking at Ayurveda and meditation and yoga and nutrition and breathing and sleep and different themes around well-being. In part 4, we go into comfort. I remember so clearly walking to my bookshelf one night when I was just starting to write the book, and I just wanted to pick a book off my shelf that would bring me some comfort. I was a bit stressed. Things weren't going so well, just with busyness in my businesses, and I just wanted to feel comfort. So I really wanted to bring that into the book because I feel like we all need so much of that right now. And then we look at sacredness. What is sacred? How do we define what is most sacred in our lives? And how do we have reverence for that and protect that? We look at consciousness. It's a big question. What is consciousness? How do we become more awake in our lives? How do we become more conscious as consumers? How do we become more conscious as parents? How do we become more conscious in our relationships? We then go into soulfulness. What is the soul? What does that mean? What does it mean to live a soul-centered life? We look at courage and confidence, which is so core to all of the work I do in the world with women and with a lot of men, actually, all genders. And then the last 2 parts of the book are an exploration into womanhood and an exploration into sovereignty. What does it mean to be a woman today? And how do we step into our feminine power? And how do we become sovereign women with complete agency over our own lives? So that's the 10 parts. And it really is it's a light read, but it can be a very deep, heart-centered process, depending on how you want to enjoy the journey. So I wrote this book so that people can dive in and dive out if they choose. I know that one of my early readers read the whole book in a weekend, and it's 400 pages long. It's not a small book. I was very impressed. So you can absolutely read it cover to cover, but you can also just pick it up and read it as an oracle because they are short chapters. So I just opened up to What Feels Light. It's a really good chapter. Or you can see what's calling to you at any particular time. You know, you might be really struggling with your well-being and you want to really focus in on that part. Or maybe you're intrigued about what have I written about womanhood, and that's where you want to start the book. It's completely your journey. I have also written a beautiful Simple Soulful Sacred digital journal, which readers can go and download at my website. So at megandallacamina.com/SSS journal. And that's a beautiful free tool and resource that you can be reading the book and then go and write down your reflections to sort of deepen and embody the experience and the learning and the changes and reflect on your own inner thoughts and inner guidance. Because at the end of the day, this book is to, exactly as the subtitle says, clarity, comfort, and coming home to yourself. The wisdom in this book from myself and all the beautiful people that I reference is, it has one goal, and that's to lead you home to you, to your truth, to your wisdom, to your inner guidance. So however you are best to do that and experience that, it's all here for you in whatever way. And I guess my dream for this book is that I have a dream that this book will sit on every woman's bedside table or any person's bedside table who needs it, and that it's always there as inspiration and encouragement and comfort and guidance for those moments when you need it the most.